Okay, well, got it all done. What I still got to do is clip this excess off. And then I thought, you know, the way to shade this, like I was talking about, shading the plastic so the sun won't hit it, I'll just cut a strip of plastic here, this black stuff, and I'll just lay it across here and tack it down so that it just kind of drapes over, maybe about that far, something like that. And that'll keep the sun off at all four sides, and I'll bet you just doing something as simple as that, just putting a little shade over it, will probably make this plastic last a long time. Anyway, so there we go. Now back to the original project, and that's the new grow beds. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to get busy on getting this going again. Now, one thing I started thinking is these beds are about 25 feet long. Now, it's difficult to get a long piece of plastic like that to cover the whole thing. And also, if you do get a leak, it's kind of hard to mess with it in this whole length. You got to replace the whole piece of plastic. So, it actually makes more sense to divide this into compartments so that if I do get a leak, or just to get some plastic that's not really expensive, if you get some shorter pieces of plastic, which I have right here, leftover pieces, you can easily deal with 3 shorter pieces of plastic than one big long one. So what I've done is I've decided to make these into compartments here, to make this grow bed into 3 compartments. And this is what I've done. I've cut a piece of wood here, and what I'm going to do is you put this down, and then I've got to fasten it down so it's secure on the bottom there. And then I've got this other piece of wood, and I'm going to fasten that up against here. And then what I'm going to do is cut a hole in here so that the water can flow from this side to that side, and then we're going to drain it out there and fill it up on this side, so the water can flow from compartment to compartment, going this direction. And what that'll do for me is that'll make it so that the plastic won't be so hard and so expensive to get, like a 30-foot piece of plastic lining. And, and if I do have problems, like, oh my goodness, I got a leak over here or something like that, it's not a 30-foot piece of plastic I got to jerk out of here and fix it. It's just like, this section or that section or the other section, and that's much easier to deal with. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start cutting these out and installing them next. Well, okay, I've got the grow beds pretty much finished now, and I still have at that end to drill a hole for the drain. And what I've got here is, as I just showed you here a little bit ago, we've got the partitions here so that I don't have to use one 25-foot length of plastic for each one of these troughs. So I can divide it up into 3 sections, and it's a lot easier to deal with. Anyway, I've measured this, and the way I did it was took an old piece of plastic here And you drape it over here so that that's about right. And then you just see, well, how long or how wide of a piece do you need to cover the ground? And it comes out to, roughly about here. Now, so if you take the tape measure and measure how wide that is, it's about 35 inches. So I might as well call it 36 inches, 3 feet. So what I need to do now is go back here. Back here to this original piece of plastic that I cut that other piece off of, and cut a 3-foot wide swath. Let's see what we get here. So, there's 3 feet right there. And if we go, so let's see if I can keep distance from that fold. I have to eyeball this and hope I can do it. There we go. Well, okay, after doing all the cutting, it turned out that that piece of plastic that I had was wide enough still to cut me all 6 pieces of this. See, here's one, they're overlapping. So there's the end of one, there's the beginning of the other. So I've got 6 compartments here, and I think that's going to work out just fine. Now, I did check them all, if they look at the sun through the back, and they all look fine. So we'll connect all the fittings up, and then we'll try to fill this up and see how it leaks, or it doesn't leak. So let me show you here how these little fittings are going to work. Let me pull this back. Let me bring the camera over and show you. Okay, here's the idea that I have. If you remember, I cut a hole in this this partition here. So what that's for is to put this little fitting. Now these are just fittings, plastic pipe fittings that you can get at the hardware store. They're pretty cheap. They're, I don't know, $1 or so each or something like that, a little less than that. So these are cheap. And then I've also got these. These are expensive. These are $1.89 a piece. These are washers, steel washers. They don't need to be steel washers. I think if you could find plastic washers like that, they'd work just fine. But the size of these were just right. So what I'm going to do basically is, you see, this is the end of one of these, and just to kind of make this an example, see what you do is you first you put this through the hole. Okay, then you tighten it down like that, and of course you see you've got a washer on both sides. I don't know if you can see that through the angle here, but there's a washer, and then what you do is you put this plastic film, underneath it or behind this washer with a hole in it so that the pipe can go through there. And the idea is using this washer and this surface of the plastic, you create a watertight fit. And to make sure it's watertight, when I'm done, I've been in the habit of actually putting some, you'd put that hole in there and then you put it through there. And then you put some silicone glue or something in there like that to make sure it's waterproof. And so you do that for this side, and same thing for this side. And that's basically the idea here. So I think this is going to work real good. So I'll go ahead and get to work on that. And the next step is to put the inlet, the water inlet, and the outlet in, and start filling it up and see if it all works and we have no leaks.